Am I going? Is it working? There I am. I'm so pretty. Well, this is the Horticult. This is Blaine Horticult coming at you. Live stream. Woo! So, this week I was able to get my little greasy paws on some trees, and I planted one for my cousin who lives across the street from me, and I planted one for me in my yard. And so we're gonna go. Let's do mine first. Excuse me, I got a little cough, a little tickle in my throat. So what I'm going to talk about is just what you need to look for. That it's your responsibility to make sure that your plant that you're getting from the nursery is in good condition. Excuse me. Their job is to sell you a plant. So your job is to make sure that plant is good. So we're gonna walk across the street. So both of these trees had little little differences and good things and bad things about both. And this one is a Eastern Redbud, and it is a, let me show you. Right, not this one. This guy right here. It's called Ruby Falls, so it's kind of more of a pendulating redbud. And I planted it, and after getting into it, it was really good. I could see the root flare really well. I put the mulch around the bottom. So see how that root is coming out right there? Oops. How it's kind of bulging. See, it's kind of, you can probably see better from this side. That's the root flare. So it's coming down straight, and then it widens out, and you can tell that that's widening. So that's definitely not planted too deep. And this is a really fun little flowering spring tree. And the challenge that had on this one was let me switch it back to me. The challenge on this one was this has a taproot, so it's a better dry tolerant plant. Ooh. There we go. It's a better dry tolerant plant than what I have. It's still a good dry tolerant plant, but this guy has a taproot in which extends deep into the ground to keep moisture away, and it stores its moisture in its roots. So in the bottom of this pot, when I was planting it, its roots had actually gone through the bottom of the pot. So I really try not to cut any roots when I'm first planting it, but I couldn't get the pot off. I didn't have the right tools to cut the pot. I cut most of it, but I had to cut some roots off. So it's still young enough that I think it's going to be fine. And I was really very careful about keeping the root ball intact. That's a huge key with planting trees. You want to keep your root ball intact. And it's a great tree. Well, I'm sure it's going to do just fine. And it's, make sure it's planted straight. So when you plant, you dig a hole. You want to make sure that the hole that you dig is more of a saucer shape. Okay, about 2 to 3 times the width of the pot that you're planting. And then you only want to go as deep as that pot is. Okay, you do not want to go 2 to 3 times deeper than that pot. One of the biggest problems with planting trees is they plant them too deep. So in this tree that I have has a different issue. It was in the pot too deep, about 3 or 4 inches. Let me show you. You can kind of tell from the discoloration of the bottom here. So I planted, my hand is at the level of what the pot medium came up to. So this much of the tree was underneath the soil in the pot. So I had to actually dig out and find find the root flare. And this is not this. That's what I was gonna say. This is not the nursery's fault. They're just trying to sell their stock. I'm later in the season. I know there's gonna be some issues with it. That's why we're getting a percentage off. But this is a Deodar cedar, and I can't remember the cultivar of it. Foster or something. But yeah, it's a little evergreen tree. And so yeah, this guy was just a little too deep. You can see the discoloration on there. So it's a lot lighter. This was exposed, and then this was too deep. So those were the two things. So when planting, 2 wide of the pot, 1 deep. You want to be solid on when you plant it. You don't want to have to backfill, because then it can settle and mess everything up again. But this tree is just so whippy that I wanted to do a stake. So I kind of did a Jimmy Rig stake here. So you want it loose inside. See how it like still moves, but it's just not gonna fall over. I just did enough that it's not gonna fall over. And because you don't want to cut off the cambium layer, so you want to be able sure that the tree will move inside that loop. People will just strap them down so hard. You still want a little bit of movement. It helps with the root development to have that little bit of movement. But by doing it too tight, it can cut off the cambium layer and you'll have issues. Like you can even see right here, right where my finger is, it's a little discoloration band. That's where the tape was in transport. So yeah, you don't want it too bad. This will be easy to take off. You only really want to stake it for a year. Anything past a year, it's unnecessary. It's just to keep it while it's developing its roots, to keep it from falling over. That's it. That's all we're trying to do here. And that's it. That's my tree. Got my big axe. Yeah. So just want to remind everybody about the podcast. Horticult.com. You search Horticult, the Horticult in Facebook, and you get our business page. You can join the group. Well, yeah, if you're on the business page, you're watching it right now. But the podcast, this week's episode, we did glyphosate. There was a judgment, I guess, like a court case of a guy getting cancer and sued Monsanto, which is the big chemical producing company, and he won because of his cancer. They were able to link it to glyphosate, so that's interesting. So check out that podcast, and we have one coming out every week. Putting them out on Mondays now, just so you have longer in the week to listen to them. And let's see, the ones we have coming up was Greenhouse, and then we record them before, and then I edit them out and send them out. But yeah, go check them out. We're almost a year. We've been doing it for a year, so we have a good backlog of episodes. Our first episode was on poinsettias, so you can check that one out too. Christmas cactus was there, and yeah, you can go check those out. We kind of have gone from doing specific plants to doing specific, just talking about horticulture in different ways. So hey, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.